Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for drama. I am someone that sits back on the sidelines and just waits and watches. I am an observer. I have decided to go a different route with my content. The route of observing fucking everything that happens in the universe. So that is what we are doing, all right? We are watching the lore. We are doing the drama, the deep dives. My man Penguin Zero just did a deep dive down on Dan Schneider's insanity. Bro pulled out the ukulele and it's been awful. It's been freaking gross. I've decided that my contribution to the entertainment industry from this moment forward will be behind the scenes mostly, and in the public spectacle I will be the chaotic neutral, just sitting here going crazy. Apparently Dan Schneider has been up to some for a long time. Like, I don't know a lot, to be honest, about this one specifically. People tell me it's like Jeffrey Epstein level messed up, which obviously I don't like to hear at all, and my heart goes out to every victim. Holy shit. So let's jump into it. Let's see what my moist man has to say about this.
During the 90s or the early 2000s, there's an extremely high chance that you watch some of Dan Schneider's.
It's so rough. It's so rough when, like, you love something, you appreciate it, you feel connected to it, like, as a piece of media, then it turns out the guy that made it is just, like, a massive piece of shit.
It was, like, impossible to avoid him. It'd be like trying to dodge raindrops during a thunderstorm. Dan Schneider, during this period, was the king of children's television programs. Yeah. He made...
Man was the god of Nickelodeon.
Some of the most influential productions like Drake and Josh, The Amanda Show, iCarly.
I loved Drake and Josh as a kid. Like, that was one of my favorite shows.
His resume is just stacked with tons of shows that I imagine meant a lot to many of you growing up. Yeah. And make no mistake, you meant a lot to the creator of these shows as well.
Yeah, because they made money off of our asses. Bro! Of course we meant a lot to them. Are you kidding? Duh!
Well, not so much you, but your feet certainly did.
What?
The creator of these shows is a monstrous foot fetishist. Dan, get in the van.
Yeah, it's so weird how many people got outed as specifically foot fetish people. Chugga Conroy, guy has like 1 million subs on YouTube making Let's Play videos, and he was just outed for being a massive foot fetish guy. Like, what is going on? Dude, stay away from the feet people, honestly. Except for Nags. Nags is the only foot fetish guy that I could get behind. But, like, dude!
He is a vile, creepy, disgusting human being, and this has been known for years.
I don't think saying that big Hollywood executive producer guy is a bad dude is a controversial take. They're probably all assholes. Like, the amount of manipulation and crazy shit that goes on in, like, that industry is baffling. It's baffling.
A new docuseries just dropped, really diving into this subject matter and putting a spotlight on it in a way that hasn't previously been explored. Yeah. It's called Quiet on Set. Now, if you don't know what Dan...
Oh my god, dude. Dude wasn't quiet on set because the gravitational rotation of the Earth changed with every footstep he took.
And looks like, here's a nice picture of him here. He looks like he was made in the Dragon's Dogma 2 character.
Bro looks like the Michelin Man.
Creator. And Dan Schneider has become the face of Quiet on Set. However, it actually explores more than that. It's like a whole deep look at all of the horrible...
Bro looks like the Godskin Noble. Oh, stop doing that.
Things that were going on during these Nickelodeon productions.
He doesn't just like feet, he eats feet. Okay, stop. Enough. It's over.
More than just Dan, but he obviously plays a central role here because he made these shows. He was the head honcho of most of this. And he was well aware of some of these terrible and downright criminal things that were going on behind the scenes.
I absolutely hate when people think that being silent about this shit is okay. It's like, yeah, I know that this is all going on, but like, listen, we'll just ignore it. They're friends of the show.
Some of these shows. And the reason I mention the foot fetishism off rip here is because that was one of the first things that people really caught on to in the public eye. After Dan's glory days at Nickelodeon, people started to pick up on how odd it was that a lot of these children's shows had an emphasis on feet.
Is that even... No shot. He put his foot fetish shit into the kids' shows? There's no way. Just casually in the shot. There's no way he got away with this. Okay, dude, whoever made this clip, age restricted. Oh my god, what the fuck?
Pretty frequently, it was a common thread throughout a lot of these shows.
That's
like
wild.
Feet humor and having these child actors and actresses displaying their feet. And in 2013, one of the shows Dan worked on, Sam and Cat, actually ran a competition where kids were supposed to submit pictures of their feet to them.
That is messed up! That's awful! How did they get away with this?
Weird. No matter how you spin it, that's a really weird thing to request from your audience of children, to take pictures of their feet for you. That's just downright creepy and wrong.
It's awful. It's especially knowing that it's coming from like some weird sexual place. That just makes it so much worse.
I can't believe that tweet is still up, by the way, over a decade later, and no one thought to delete that. That is impressive. But anyway.
They forgot the code to the account.
People started to pick up on Dan's fixation with stompers, and it seemed like his fetish was bleeding into his work, and he was having the children unknowingly participate in it by having them display their feet. What? That's what it seemed to a lot of people, so it was obviously...
It was awkward that he was just gooning to child feet in his office.
Very concerning, so people did more and more digging. They found more and more evidence of Dan being an awful piece of shit behind the scenes with a lot of shady things going on there. And it just led to this reputation that people for years have known that Dan blows loads to toes Schneider.
He did not just make that up, right? Like, what? Charles
is not a good person.
Yeah, bro, this is the video where Charlie destroys Dan Schneider. It's over. I will never unhear blows loads to toes.
And now, Quiet on the Set has released, and so much information has come out, not just about Dan, but about that entire Nickelodeon workplace around these child stars. Arguably the largest piece of new information that dropped during this docuseries was the sexual abuse of Drake Bell by someone named Brian Peck.
Oh my fucking god, dude. It always gets there. Like, it always fucking gets there, dude. Do you know why people with foot fetishes never win in the end? Because they like the taste of defeat.
So Brian Peck was a coach at Nickelodeon whom was sexually abusing Drake Bell. And he was actually convicted in 2004. He spent 16 months in the slammer, and then immediately upon release landed a job with Disney.
What? This dude was in prison for 16 months for being a pedophile. Lewd conduct with a minor. And they immediately give him a job in Disney to work with kids?
If that doesn't show just how rotten to the core this industry is, I don't know what will. There is deep-seated evil in Hollywood. He went to jail for lewd acts with a minor. He is a sex offender, a convicted sex offender, and he...
with children, nonetheless.
Immediately got a Disney Channel job working on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. What the fuck? That's
crazy.
Mind-bogglingly evil. Like that's not just irresponsible. That's malicious. It's not like they just made some kind of mistake where they put a sex offender in a role where he works almost exclusively with children. Like it's not like they made a whoopsie-daisy. They just happened to overlook that he's a sex offender.
No, that you can't possibly make that mistake. Like there is zero possibility that you make the mistake.
They knew. They would have to know, and they still hired him for that role regardless. That's scary. That's terrifying. They're actively enabling a fucking sex offender to potentially prey on more children. Drake also described that when he went into court, Brian Peck had the support of some very powerful and familiar faces.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's like this weird child sex cult that all sticks together. They're all so powerful. Each one of them it vouches for the other one, and somehow they're able to survive. Can you explain to me how every single show and movie in the universe needs to have its plot watered down so hard? Dude, everything that shows up out of Disney's plot needs to get watered down to be more inclusive and loving to everybody, right? It's literally their entire shit. But behind the scenes, these people are literally trading these weird foot fetish crap. It's awful. It's awful.
There were 41 character letters written to the judge asking for leniency for Brian Peck.
41! This is a guy, he's a pedophile. This dude's a pedophile. Guy was a convicted sex offender for lewd acts with a minor.
41 letters of support from industry personnel that were trying to get a lighter sentence for Brian Peck, even knowing that he is guilty of the crimes for which he is about to face the punishment.
It's insane. It's insane. The only way I can imagine that this guy even got a job work Disney was because he put his best foot forward. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't. The train started moving and it's not stopping.
Asking for a more generous sentence. These weren't just 41 pieces of toilet paper with nonsensical scribblings on it from nobodies. These were 41 character letters that were submitted by industry personnel, some of whom were high up on the food chain, so these things carried weight. And they're advocating for someone who is guilty of sexually abusing a child. Holy shit. They just viewed it as not a big deal, I guess? Listen, Judge, I understand.
Dude, it's like, here's the thing. If you'd have asked me, do you think that these Hollywood big shot people are actually sex offenders and they don't care that other people are abusing children and they will actively defend them because of all that? Like, do you think that would happen? I would say yes. Like, to be honest. But dude, 12 years dungeon, no trial. This is in unacceptable condition. Unacceptable.
Understand Brian Peck diddled a child. Who at Nickelodeon hasn't? Are you really
what the
really gonna throw him away or put him away and throw away the key for that? What about season 3 of Drake and Josh? What actually matters here? Let's think about that. Like, this is crazy to me. It almost stops being surprising learning that Brian Peck landed a job at Disney right after his 16 months in prison for this crime, because it seems like that entire industry just does not give a fuck about the safety of kids to begin with.
True.
So like I said, Quiet on Set isn't just about
Dude, I'm just saying, Netflix greenlit cuties, okay? Like, they are so insanely morally bankrupt. I don't know. I miss YouTube drama. I like YouTube drama much better. This shit's just awful. Like, obviously it's a window into the real world, and that's just very, very heartening, and it's important to know that this actually happens. But dude,
Dan Schneider and all of the awful things that he has done. It's about how awful that entire industry itself is.
And
but
what's so wild is no one cares. Like, something like this will come out, and the named people are gonna obviously get a slap on the wrist. But everyone else is just gonna get away with it. You take someone and you put them in a position of power, and then you expect them to not get corrupted by this power. It's like, well, we saw what happened in the Minecraft community.
Again, Dan Schneider does still play a large role in this docuseries, highlighting the bad workplace and environment that he would cultivate, the weird shit that would go on in like the writer's room and the way he'd treat some people, just a whole plethora of different bad stuff. And in response to all of this, Dan Schneider
pulls out the ukulele and makes an apology video.
Himself actually stepped out from the shadows, leaving
good one.
His little gopher's hidey hole and addressing it head on in one of the most painfully scripted and staged apology video interviews.
I can't believe we're getting all these apology videos. Like, what is wrong with the world? Everyone has an apology video now. Like, are you even in the public spotlight if you didn't have an apology video?
I've ever seen.
Hey, it's Boogie. I played T-Bo on Nickelodeon's iCarly. I got a chance to watch the Quiet on Set program, and I reached out to Dan to see if it was something that he'd be willing to discuss. I'm pleased to say that he said yes.
Bro, is he plugging his podcast right now?
Dan, how are you?
I'm okay.
It doesn't look okay. It looks like Jabba the Hutt just got Me Too'd.
The interview is not conducted by a professional. It's conducted by
his friend!
Former actor in one of Dan Schneider's shows, and he is not equipped to handle something like this. This is the biggest load of baloney. Like, this is just some straight up fucking malarkey. There is no push.
You're just gonna give him the lowball questions, let him get away with shit. Listen, if you want to do a solo apology video, fine. But if you want to get some allegedly unbiased interviewer, and then that interviewer just happens to be a friend of you that's throwing lowballs and accepting your apology, it's like, bro, get out of here.
Back from Boogie on anything in this interview at all. It's just strategic softballs designed to give Dan Schneider some kind of sympathetic PR win here.
That is why Dan Schneider is a professional and these YouTubers are not. The virgin YouTuber, sitting there and making a whole apology video himself, recording it, petting his dog first, sighing, crying, talking about how he was in a dark place. That's the virgin YouTuber apology. The based Hollywood celebrity apology, getting a friend to throw you softballs and make fake cinematic pity moments so that the world could see.
Where he comes out of this looking better. Where he comes out of this like not the bad guy.
Dude, honestly, BoJack Horseman stays to this day as one of the greatest insights in the Hollywood industry of all time.
It's so deplorable that they'd even try something like this with a straight face. I think it is extremely transparent what this is, and I'm happy to say pretty much
it's a PR move that means nothing.
Everyone saw straight through this. This did not give Dan Schneider the dunk I think he was expecting it to. This did not make him look any better in the...
See, the thing is, right now, with the power of the internet and everyone having a voice and having an opinion and seeing things for how they are, having people like commentary YouTubers that can talk about this and just tear it to shreds, I think that gives so much power to the side of so much power has been given to the people in this day and age, and these people cannot get away with it, bro. Look at the new Oompaville thumbnail. Every time Oompaville uploads a video, like look at this thumbnail. It is so easy today to clown on people, right? Clown on people that are just losers, that are cruel and disgusting people. It is so easy to clown on them now and humiliate them. That is the beauty of the internet today. And you can't get away with some corporatized PR response that plays on television and you don't actually hear the pushback. The pushback is there. The mainstream media will not report on anything useful. And it is all this weird echo chamber of opinion.
It actually just made it look even more sinister that he was able to, it seems, pre-prepare this interview to mitigate the potential fallout from the docuseries airing.
Let's talk about the massages.
Okay.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to...
I'm a better person. I was in a dark place. He's doing the YouTuber apology video, except he has the PR stuntman to just make believe he's actually saying things.
Anybody that I ever put in that situation.
Dan, talk to me about the writer's room. From what I saw, not cool.
No.
Not cool. Me, when I talked to a pedophile... Okay, I don't know if he was a pedophile. Not cool, man. Those kids that you raped, that wasn't very skibbity toilet chill of you.
Oh, and I don't mean to cut you off, but if I can cut right to the chase, let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room. Ever. Period. The end. No excuses.
What the fuck does that even mean?
What's supposed to be this moment of taking accountability. Dan Schneider is just point blank apologizing and, you know, holding himself accountable for the sins of the past type vibe. Except he's really not. Like, these aren't things that you just, like, hand wave.
See, here's the thing. Apology videos are really nice when they're genuine. However, apology videos are worthless. They mean nothing. They do nothing. A genuine apology is if there is change. Not that I'm sorry I got caught. What is an apology video? It's this weird parasocial thing that you want your favorite YouTuber to feel to be shamed publicly. It's a public shaming.
Wave away with like a simple apology. A lot of what was reported is like unforgivable bad shit. Like there's really no way of apologizing for...
I'm sorry that people felt awkward in the writer's room is nowhere near as bad as what allegedly was actually happening.
That Dan Schneider has done and also been accused of. So it's just, it feels so fucking insincere. And Dan Schneider got away with it, and it seems will continue to get away with it.
That's a crazy thing. It's like the too powerful to fail gimmick. Like, I hate it so much. Why does this person deserve any more justice than anyone else?
He loses nothing by doing something like this, which just makes it frustrating to see him parade around pretending like he cares now all of a sudden. Like, it's extremely...
Literally, you have people in this, like, level of power and level of manipulation and with his friend group that are probably also doing the same bullshit. Man will not be defeated, unfortunately.
Easy for him to just be like, oh yeah, that was bad. I feel bad.
Oh, it sucks the way they were treated over there. It was awkward. Oh god, when I stretched his asshole on the desk tape, I thought like that was not right. I was not right at all. It was not very cash money. It was not very butter chicken of me.
For that, oh, what a regret. Yep, not good. Like, it's just, I would have liked if the interviewer was someone that would legitimately dive into a lot of these things and actually press him on a lot of these things. This interview never even addresses the things that people want to hear from Dan on, such as like the sexualization of the children in those shows.
Diddle me this, Batman!
Outside of all the foot stuff, Dan included some very inappropriate things in his programs, such as Ariana Grande milking a potato,
What?
and then another scene with her getting like splashed with water and shit. Like, all of it was very unacceptable and seems to sexualize the child actors and actresses in his productions.
Gross. Oh my god, that's disgusting. It's unacceptable. It's literally unacceptable. How is this man still out there in public doing stuff?
And that was never even brought up in this interview. So this interview it doesn't have any real substance to it. It is legitimately just a scripted PR play from Dan.
Cut it. I want my shows to be popular. I want everyone to like. The more people who like the shows, the happier I am.
Is he explaining why he's sexualizing children? Because people like it and it'll make him more money? Like, is that really the defense mechanism here?
So if there's anything in a show that needs to be cut because it's upsetting somebody, let's cut it.
So I think it's big for you to say with your work, if it's viewed as that today, you don't have a problem.
Cut it. Cut it.
I mean, that's a solution.
The last thing
That is not a solution! Oh my god, bro! This dude, this interviewer guy is... Listen, I don't want to be rude here, but this interviewer guy is culpable, okay? I know that Dan obviously deserves the brunt of the hate here, because, you know, he actually did this shit, but you trying to cover it up, bring it under the... You think the issue is just the broadcasting? The issue is that it happened at all.
The last thing I want to ever do is put any content in a show that's going to upset my audience and make them want to turn off the TV.
The last thing I want to do is be a pedophile, okay? The last thing this guy wants to do is upset his audience. Listen, not everyone's the same.
TV. Why would I ever want to do that?
That makes sense.
This is him addressing a question that Boogie asked about, like, inappropriate jokes in there without getting too deep into the weeds, just a broad subject of some of these jokes have aged poorly and people look at them as inappropriate for a child audience. How do you respond? The most softball way of asking this question, mind you, and his response was, cut it. Just get rid of it. I don't want it in the show. If it's aged bad and it makes people uncomfortable or, you know, this and that, cut it. And Boogie's like patting him on the back for it, like, oh my goodness.
You are so brave. So brave. Wow. Here, they should have wrapped one of those fucking survivor blankets that every police movie has after someone barely survives some sort of crime scene where they wrap them in a blanket. He should have gotten up, put a blanket around him right away.
Wow. That's so benevolent. What a great solution. Yeah, that makes sense. What the fuck? It's so easy for him to say that now, but it doesn't take away the fact that you filmed it. If you cut Ariana Grande milking a potato type shit, if you cut some of the foot stuff that you
think cutting that is going to matter at this point?
Included in there, it doesn't change the fact that you still had the child actors and actresses doing that shit and were sexualizing them. It still happened. That's still bad. Cutting it from the final product doesn't erase what you did.
A YouTuber that makes a video, I murdered 6 puppies, and you know, and that's his video, okay? And then, you know, he cuts out the footage of murdering the puppies for his YouTube video. Problem solved!
It's so frustrating that there's no pushback on any of this in the interview. He just gets to let him say his piece and then get applause for it. It's so stupid.
And when Drake and I talked and he told me what had happened, I was more devastated by that than anything that ever happened to me in my career thus far.
Say in your life. Don't say in your career. This isn't a career thing. This is a life thing.
One of those people wrote letters for Peck, character letters, praising him for who he was and asking for leniency. And they knew that he was guilty. They knew he had confessed to some degree. And they still did this. But Drake's mom, a lovely woman who I stay in contact with this day, she came to me at the time and she said,
dude.
Would you help me with my...
Is he really going to do the fake crying thing?
...my speech for the judge? And I said, of course. And I did.
Dan Schneider's fishing for the Nickelodeon's Kid Choice Award for the best fake crying.
That's insane. What was that?
Feels super forced and super insincere. Him tearing up while talking about this story. This is him talking about the Drake and Brian Peck case, where he mentions 41 people wrote those letters and it baffled him. And then Drake's mom actually asked him to help her write her piece, which he did. And that leads me to a question of, if you knew all this, why didn't you back up Drake Bell?
Well, you see, because this is business. This is business. business. Dude, this entire industry is so royally fucked up, dude. Honestly, it's YouTubers too. Like, this whole covering up weird sexual crimes because they are friends and you could collab with them and stuff. It's like that. It's unacceptable. There are things that are more important than content. I can't believe it. It's insane. But then the interview says, "I'm so sorry that happened to you, Dan. Oh, I'm so sorry you had to go through a child star getting raped by someone and you knew about it and you didn't say anything. It must have been really tough of you."
The way it's described, Brian Peck had all of these people in his corner, but Drake really only had his mom and his brother. Why weren't you more involved then? Like, I imagine that could have been extraordinarily helpful. But regardless, this interview doesn't do anything to change my perception of Dan Schneider, or anyone else's, really, I imagine, because it's still nothing. This isn't really an interview, it's just a PR piece, disguised as an interview. It's just
insane.
It's just more despicable garbage here. But yeah, anyway,
I don't need my dude to sit his fat ass in that studio and say, "Oh, this is just good business."
I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Again, the docuseries is called Quiet on Set. It's out now. And yeah, just kind of wanted to go over it a little bit.
I think I'm gonna watch that docuseries. I can't believe it. That's insane.
That's it. So yeah.
That was gross. What a disgusting, despicable situation. Oh my god, dude. Honestly, like, I wish I would be more surprised instead of just disgusted, but I am just so disgusted. If you made it to the end, click one of these 2 videos, which also will definitely get me canceled. See you live on King. Stay weird, fam.